Hello, this is my first Reddit post, so bear with me, lol. So within the past 3 years, I have noticed that I have slowly but surely become clairaudient. I have experienced many moments where I will hear spirits talking to me, mentally and also physically hearing whispers in my ear. But sadly, I've noticed a decrease in my ability to hear them. And now, I don't hear them at all. It's been well over a few months and it's disappointing me because I was actually excited when I first started hearing them. After working on my spirituality for so long, it finally came into play. Never anything evil, but I'd hear random phrases, words, etc. I've tried everything to get them to communicate with me again, but nothing works, and I think it's so strange that it just suddenly stopped. Does anyone possibly know the cause of this? Is my energy off? Do they just not like me anymore? I want to still consider myself clairaudient, but maybe I should just let it go. Sad face. Any thoughts? When my daughter was 3 months old, we had just moved into a new house. It was a quiet neighborhood. Nothing creepy about it. Just a fresh start for our little family. But within the first week, something happened that I still can't explain. One night, I was downstairs cleaning up while my husband was asleep. Our daughter was in her crib, and I had the baby monitor next to me. It was one of those video ones, with night vision, so I could see her little chest rising and falling as she slept. Then, through the static of the monitor, I heard it, a soft whisper. At first, I thought it was just interference, maybe picking up a neighbor's frequency. But then, clear as day, I heard a woman's voice. "Shh, go back to sleep, baby." I froze. The only people in the house were me, my husband, and our daughter. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. She was still there, sleeping peacefully. I ran upstairs, flung open the door, and found the room exactly as I had left it. No one was there. For the next few weeks, small things kept happening. I'd hear faint humming through the monitor when I knew the house was silent. Once, I walked in to find the rocking chair moving, just slightly, like someone had just gotten up from it. Eventually, things settled down. I never heard the voice again. But sometimes, when I check on my daughter at night, I swear, I can still feel someone else in the room, watching over her. I stumbled out of the bar with my good friend Jack. I'd known him for years, and we hit this bar as the last in our bar crawl every Thursday. Thirsty Thursdays, we called it. How did it start again? I was too drunk to remember exactly. Something about his name being funny, or something about dick jokes. I couldn't recall exactly. I could barely remember where I parked. Arms over each other's shoulders, we walked through the parking lot like a couple of zombies, chuckling every so often, repeating stupid internet memes we'd seen and slurring our sentences beyond recognition. As we approached what I believed was his car, he gestured towards the passenger door and I gripped the hood for support. The more I thought about it, I realized I couldn't remember much about Jack at all. This was the man who was one of the best men at my wedding. He was the godfather to my children. I remembered all of the long nights we had spent together in college, the sensual glances we'd exchanged in our past. But tonight, something seemed off. Despite these experiences, I couldn't name a single personal detail about him. Where did he work? How old was he? What was his name? As these thoughts raced through my head, I glanced over at him in the driver's seat, surprised that he was turned away from me. "Jack?" I said hesitantly. My voice faltered. He growled, his voice deep and crackling. A chord of terror rung throughout my body when I heard this. I mustered my courage and found the words come to me slowly. "What's your last name?" Slowly, he began to turn his head. What I saw was the most horrific expression I had ever witnessed. A contorted, disgusting face I had ever had the displeasure of being in the presence of. Twangs of madness and hysteria began to plague my mind, and I could barely make out his single-word response. Dolph. The news had been everywhere for weeks. The asteroid, 10 miles wide, fast as a bullet, was coming. Scientists had given their estimates, politicians had given their speeches, and the world had given up. No missiles, no last-minute solutions, just impact. On the streets of a crumbling city, people wandered like ghosts. Some screamed, some prayed, some sat in silence, waiting. But on a street corner, under the flickering light of a dead traffic signal, a man stood beside an old ice cream cart, its bell jingling in the night. "Free ice cream," he called, his voice bright, almost cheerful. "Come on now, don't be shy." His name was Lou. He had sold ice cream on this street for 30 years. When the news hit, he thought about running, thought about hiding. But where? Instead, he did the only thing he could. He rolled out his cart and started scooping. A little girl approached first, clutching her mother's hand. Lou smiled and handed her a cone, the vanilla melting almost instantly in the warm night air. "Don't you worry, sweetheart," he said as he handed another to her mother. "Tastes best when you eat it fast." More people came, a man in a suit with a loosened tie, a group of teenagers, their laughter hollow but real, an old woman who, imply nodded and took a cone, savoring the taste like a memory. Above them, the sky had begun to change. The asteroid, once a distant smudge in the telescope images, was now visible to the naked eye, a burning streak cutting through the stars. The ground trembled, faintly at first. Lou kept scooping. A young man took a cone and asked, "Why are you doing this?" Lou shrugged. "Why not? Can't stop what's coming, but I can still make someone smile before it does." The tremors grew stronger. The sky turned red. Somewhere buildings crumbled, sirens wailed, and people screamed. But on that little street corner, beneath the eerie glow of the end, Lou handed out one last cone. He sat down beside his cart, watching the fire spread across the heavens. The air smelled of smoke, of dust, and just a hint of vanilla. And then the world ended. I was vacationing in Wales one weekend with this man whose name will be completely left out for privacy and respect. But he was my fiancé at the time. We were staying at one of the older hotels along the beach, and since they were almost full, we took a room with 2 single beds and a shared bathtub. Our room faced the sea and had large windows that were wide open during the night, the sheer curtains billowing as the sea breeze blew into the room. Each bed was covered with several blankets as well as a quilt and coverlet tucked under the mattress, so when you were in bed you were tucked in snug and warm from the night air. I remember feeling tired from a long but lovely day at the beach, sunning and swimming. After dinner, my fiancé and I went to our room and we both fell into a deep sleep. I woke up during the night and had this unsettling feeling, not sure quite why. The room was quiet except for the drip from the old faucet on the small sink in the room. I looked around the room and could see the curtains moving from the wind. The room was dimly lit, as the moon was casting some light into the room. I looked over at my fiancé in the other single bed, who was soundly still asleep. Suddenly, that sensation that people describe as frozen with or paralyzed with fear came over me. I also could not utter a sound. I struggled to get my breath as I saw the white filmy figure of a woman emerge from the area of the window and approach my bed. I knew my fiancé was next to me, only a few feet away. I knew I was awake and not dreaming, as every detail of the room was lit by the moonlight. I knew I just needed to scream and my fiancé would hear, but I couldn't get out a sound. I held onto the covers under my chin for dear life as the filmy white figure seemingly floated to the bottom of the bed, and I could feel the covers being pulled from the bottom of the bed and out from under the mattress. I knew she, or it, wanted to hurt me, to smother me. But I still couldn't get a sound out. Finally, a small sound escaped from my throat, and I kept gasping and trying to scream till enough came out that my fiancé heard me and jumped out of bed and rushed over to my side. The filmy figure disappeared, but I was shaking and crying from fright. My fiancé said it was just a bad dream, and I almost believed him till I saw all my bed covers lying in a heap at the bottom of my bed. Lying on top of them while they are tucked under the mattress beneath you, it is impossible to pull them out from under yourself. We have tried over and over again. Even though it was a small, single bed for the two of us, I slept in the same bed as my fiancé the rest of the night. The next day we were at breakfast with the other guests and other hotel staff when I told my story about the previous night. Most everyone who heard it believed it really happened, as they said the hotel was haunted and the scene of a great fire that broke out at the turn of the century. Someone said maybe the filmy white spectral may have pulled the covers from my bed because she thought my bed or I was on fire, maybe. To this day, all I know is that I know what I saw and how it felt, and I know I was in the presence of something unearthly. So let me start off with, it started in November 2024. I woke up that day, normal, felt great, went to the gym, ate Sam Lammer, drank water, on my way to work, felt great. I get on the bus to work. I feel like someone is staring at me. Mind you, I was standing up on the bus. I look to my left and amp. I see this lady staring at me hard and amp. I get freaked out, I look away and amp. I felt nauseous. And amp. I look at her again. This time she's staring at me even harder. I look away and amp. This time I felt like I was fading away and amp. Next thing you know, I fall to the floor and amp, faint. I open my eyes and amp. The same red-headed lady is asking me if I'm okay and handed me a bottle of water. All right, away. Still had that same feeling of nauseous. I got up, drank the water, and she disappeared. Went to work like nothing happened after that. But that whole day, the lady face kept coming to my mind. Her injury was just not okay. The whole situation felt weird. That's never ever happened to me. Fast forward, February 092024. I go to work, just a normal day. And amp, I got the same feeling of someone staring at me, and amp, felt like I wanted to throw up and faint. I was not okay. I look to my right and I see the same lady from the bus 3 months ago. And amp, she is staring at me with the same look. She comes up to me so fast and tells me, "You were the girl that fainted on the bus a couple months ago." I was like, yes. She continues to say, "I was staring at you getting on the bus, and I felt like something was going to happen to you." And amp, next thing you know, your eyes rolled back to your head and you blacked out. I was the one who gave you the water. I was shook. I got the chills from my head to my toes. And amp, she was full of excitement when she told me. I told, "Well, I'm fine now," and walked away. She works right next to me. Next week passes. I see her again. Didn't talk to her much, just small talk. Cuss. She's trying to pick up conversations with me and I'm not having it. Cuss. I have a really vibe out of her. So that day, she leaves work at 1 p.m. I left at 3, didn't get to my car until 3:30 p.m. I am just hanging out in my car for like 10 minutes. I look up and she parked right in front of my car. She walking up to her car and looks right into my car and waves hello with the biggest smile. That gave me the chills all over my body. Not a good vibe. Mind you, I work at the airport, so the parking lot is huge. Is holed up too. 100 parkings. How? And amp, why is she parked in front of my car? Werid. Someone help me figure this woman out. Why do I keep bumping into her? And when I'm always next to her, I get the chills and it just don't feel right. And amp, when I look into her eyes when we talk, sometimes her eyes just seem blurry.